So game of battery stuff on the box.
I think
They made a rule where you just one.
I don't know for sure. I feel like there's
so many,
especially when it comes to sports, there's a large male following. And so maybe we want to market to more females to bring that demographic up more.
In places
Females, yeah, that's a good idea.
You look at like the surrounding states, like Iowa.
Yeah. So the growth of the brand would be.
You just go laterally across there, underneath that, obviously you turn around St. Louis. Into southern China.
I know that like
Yeah.
in the big families, like
I'm just waiting
but I think
north side too.
they take us into like in Wisconsin, kind of because
For some reason,
yeah,
like,
like
you ask, like, oh, where are you from?
Oh, we're gonna try to have like family there?
Chicago.
We're doing
maybe like right off
Chicago.
Chicago.
Yeah, you're still.
Yeah, it's family deal.
Throughout, I feel like the whole area, you know, Springfield.
I think it's more Jackson. See, I
No, yeah, I think
I
you gotta get one of
I
these.
yeah, and I feel a lot of that, I feel like
Yeah.
that comes from not being you know what I mean, like at least me personally, like I remember it's just more because of the
What they
Bears.
should try to do is
Like,
they're
really-
going to back on the flyers all around the Wisconsin borders, Illinois. So Iowa, Wisconsin, I started to really interesting. Is in Iowa.
Like, I mean, I'm not even that big of a baseball fan, but I know that I just hate the Cubs more so because I hate the Bears. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's like related, I guess.
Yeah, it's important to know also who isn't your market.
Yeah.
And you're gonna want to try to appeal to people, non-baseball fans, get people interested in the game. And what they
Alright, so
try to
what'd you
do-
guys come up with? Anyone want to share? Where might there be growth?
We were kind of talking about looking at this, the nation, in terms of what's around Illinois, like obviously you heard us talking, going north into Wisconsin and Minnesota is gonna be tough, because obviously there's a natural rivalry just in the proximity of those two states, and also like other sports, like, we were talking about, you know, Jesus, I don't like the Cubs because I mostly don't like the Bears. But I feel like if you continue to move out like laterally, you look into like Indiana, there's a lack of a pro baseball team there, as well as into Iowa. And also we looked into more of maybe like the southern portion of the state of Illinois, where you know, once you kind of go through the south side and the lower areas of the Chicago suburbs to the south, there's still a large sector of the state which is rural based, and that could be a spot where you could obviously grow fans and grow loyalty.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, huge, yeah, baseball followings for sure. Yeah, Marissa?
We kind of went more of the demographics, so where might the brand be in growth. And we talked about how it's kind of a male-dominant sports watching, so we're kind of want to target to women by having like a Women's Day for them to go, and also it's a family, like Wrigleyville is kind of known for like family center, so then trying to get family packages in there and trying to invite families to come more to like the Cubs games and everything.
Yeah, awesome. Football we often see where they do breast cancer awareness and wear pink. Does baseball do that too?
They do Father's Day, they
Yeah.
Mother's Day, Father's
like,
Day.
do wristbands and everything, but I
Okay.
don't think they use bands, and then on Mother's Day, yeah, they have pink bands.
Sure, sure. So that's definitely a way to take a great cause, maybe, but also to appeal to a new demographic. I love that, great idea. Yeah, growth definitely across genders.
We kind of discussed that there'd probably be growth, like they said, into Iowa and Indiana, and they've already kind of started getting, because they won the World Series, people are going to want to go to Iowa because their AAA affiliate it plays in Iowa, so they want to go and see if like, oh, who could possibly be coming up to the major leagues and what kinds of people. We discussed like non-baseball fans. This kind of goes beyond the Cubs. Baseball's been trying to get more and more people to come to the games, and the Cubs kind of part of it is they've remodeled their field to make more modern. They had like a digital scoreboard. They redid like the bathrooms and stuff. and they've kind of really done a lot of stuff around, because they've already successfully done it by putting their team in the middle of a neighborhood instead of in the middle of a city.
Yeah.
So they're incorporating like a friendly, neighborly, everybody, you know, come together to watch a day at the ballpark.
Yeah, I think you're definitely right. We see this kind of a similar trend with movie theaters. I think we talked about in the film section, when sales drop, people going to see movies because we can watch them at home. Same with sports, we can watch them in high def on the big screen. So we're seeing restaurants in the stadiums, we're seeing family days, programming to make it an entire experience, not just for the diehard fan, but the family, the neighborhood, to get everyone out. Yeah, do you have something to add, Bill?
Yeah, I really like too what he was talking about, looking into like the minor league affiliates, because that's one thing I know that the Cubs really do have a strong tie to, as well as in Indianapolis, they're the Indianapolis Indians, I believe, and they're the AAA affiliate for the Cleveland Indians. So if your state doesn't have a major league team, you try to associate yourself as closely to a major league team as you can, obviously being an affiliate. And that's a really, I knew that it was the Iowa Cubs, but I wouldn't even draw that comparison to try to stimulate growth through there.
Yeah. Tell me.
What they also do that I find really cool that I've seen a lot of other teams kind of start doing, every winter they have the Cubs convention, which is like Comic-Con but for Cubs fans, a bunch of different panels and stuff that I've gotten to attend. I think that's how they kind of bring people in. They bring in the old and they new, and they talk about where are we going with this year, and they bring out the executives for like a panel, and you can ask them all these different questions, and they talk about what they're gonna do, and I think that's kind of how they recruit people, is letting people, and you get to meet a lot of the players too, so they kind of merge the two, like the professional world of the athletes and like the everyday Cubs fan, bring them together.
Yeah, definitely. I was even thinking too, as I was setting this up, a lot of my friends in academia go to conferences abroad, and I saw this past year some great pictures of people at games in Japan where baseball is huge, or other countries like in right just in the south, I think in the Philippines baseball is really big, some other countries in South America and Central America. So now that the Cubs have, you know, reached World Series status, maybe they can really extend their brand worldwide.
And with that too, into like the upcoming off season, starting in March, is their version of like the World Baseball Classic is what they call it. So it's their way of kind of branching and try to get like that World Cup atmosphere too.
Sure.
So like that too obviously builds through the MLB brand, because the MLB sponsors almost all of it and play in major league stadiums. I think that's one thing too that baseball is really reaching for, that globalness that you're gonna find.
Yeah, what it was America's pastime. I think football has kind of overtaken things quite a bit, but we're seeing MLB coming back and saying, let's stay America's and go beyond. Yeah. All right, guys, well, for the sake of time, I think we're gonna hold off on the advertising design. I've got a bunch of ad layouts, ways in which we can analyze specific ads, and ways that they're designed. We'll go over that on Monday, but I wanna just briefly talk about these advertising effects, in that when we're creating this strategic messaging, right, we want to really be sure that we're doing it in a constructive and a positive way, a healthy way. So there are definitely criticisms of advertising. We've talked about a bit already, perhaps this week about clutter of billboards ruining the landscape, nature. You've perhaps heard about photoshopping and the effects and influences of maybe models, showing body images that are never possible. And we can also think about, is this type of a market economy, so much of our economy is based on advertising, that do we often feel unsatisfied? Does it always feel like we need the next iPhone, the next product, or we're kind of always in this state of never being complete? So that's another major criticism. Perhaps this idea of a consumer culture, where maybe shopping and spending and whatnot is kind of becoming perhaps too pervasive in our lives. And there are definitely ways in which we can perform advertising in a positive way, and then other ways in which that I believe are less less ethical. And I'll just give one example briefly, and then I'm going to pass it on to our group today to talk about their ethics presentation in regard to advertising.
Great.
So here's an advertisement featuring Katy Perry. Your group isn't showing this one, is it?
No.
No, okay, good. All right, just checking. And I'm just going to talk about this real briefly.
Breakthrough artist Katy Perry is one of music's biggest stars, with songs that show off her feisty girl power charisma. But Katy has a secret.
Yeah, you'd think I would be the most confident person, but the most confident person still has their moments. And a lot of my most insecure moments related to my face and to my skin problems.
All right, this ad is called Katy's Secret, all right? And it's received some criticism because it's kind of exploitation of young people in their desire to fit in, to be, right, to look appealing to their peers. And it's important to know that a lot of advertising on its face, on its surface, we might just see and think, oh, it's just an advertisement, right? But as kind of Isabella was talking about, a lot of money goes into these advertisements. There's a lot of research behind it, a lot of psychographics. Proactive is like many different types of skincare treatments. Clearasil, Neutrogena, they've all got different angles, right? Different ways that they attack their brand, their markets. I think Clearasil, the commercials are kind of more, all kids have acne. If you've seen them, they're kind of in the hallways at school, at lockers. How do I get rid of this, right? This problem. Neutrogena, it's always like #1 dermatologist recommended, right? It's scientific. The word Neutrogena sounds like a big science term even, right? Proactive, right, is being proactive, taking control of this situation. What the advertisements do specifically, and not just Katy Perry, Adam Levine, the other stars they use, they show a role model, an icon for a lot of young people. And then they show, Katy has a dark secret. We don't know about it, but she's got a problem. What is it? It's a pimple. Oh my God, she's got acne, right? As if it was cancer or something, right? Just, oh, it's this terrible dark secret. If you've seen the Adam Levine commercials too, they show him as well. They zoom in on the acne as if it's just this terrible thing, right? And it's so affecting them. So for young people, they can think about that, wow, here's my role model. Wow, they're so nervous or they're so insecure about acne and whatnot. Maybe I need to buy this expensive, kind of remedy so that I can be, so that I can be to my fullest potential too. It's come under a lot of criticism that this is unethical, right? It's unrealistic expectations. We look up to our role models, we want to be like them, and then we kind of show maybe this dark secret and that maybe make young people feel like acne is more of a problem than it is, like it's something that we don't all deal with, that I don't deal with at 30 years old, right? So there's a lot of research that goes into analyzing some of these ads with ethics and whatnot, and it's important to know, as Isabella was saying, that maybe we see an ad on its surface, it looks just like any other ad, but that's what our assignment's about, right? To really analyze an ad, to go beyond the surface, to look at the design, to look at the appeals. What are they really trying to say? What do they want us to do? What desire do they want to stir in us? Right? So I think that's a great segue to our group to now give their presentation about the ethics of advertising.
Do you think we'll have enough time to go now?
I can talk really fast.
It's like 10:20 right
We get out at 10:30, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so it is a bit tight. Do you guys want to move back to Monday?
I mean, I feel like we're just gonna be like rushed.
Yeah, because I know we have 2 clips that we want to show
Okay.
too. And
Is that okay?
Definitely.
Okay.
So let's move you guys to is that okay? We'll put you at the top of the hour Monday. Does that sound good?
Because with the discussion questions too,
Okay.
at the end.
Okay. No problem. We can roll with it. Well then, let's finish up my advertising portion today. All right. Sorry, you guys. You have to hear from me talk more now. But I think this will really help with your paper, and then I think your ethics presentation will be a great way to cap off the unit. So let's look at some more contemporary ads then. So earlier in the week we looked at some classic advertising, some of those cigarette ads and those types of appeals. So now let's look at design and different functions of actually creating the ad itself. And I think this will really help you in your papers. So this is a good thing that we cover this today. So remember, the papers are due next Friday. So if you're interested in going into ad agency work, usually you're put into teams based on different accounts. This might be products or politics, as I said, and often advertising agencies specialize in one, or the other. So for example, I have a friend, he lives in Germany, and he's the account manager for Dove, for the Dove brands in Africa. He's a German male living in Germany, but he oversees the Dove campaigns for women in Africa. Kind of really interesting. So the account manager often oversees the whole process of creation of the campaign, design of the brands and whatnot. That's usually the person then that works for the agency and presents the campaign and pitches it to the company. So to Dove, to Nike, or whatever those are. So maybe this might be a great role for some of you. If you like advertising and you kind of enjoy management and developing people and teams, this might be a great occupation. If you're more of a researcher, you enjoy perhaps more computer work or more some of this analysis, we talked about how, of course, research is really important. You need to have a backbone for these campaigns to prove that the money that's going to be spent will be worth it. Media buyer, that's another role. We talked earlier this week about how we want to place media very specifically. It all costs money. That's a title. A media buyer is a person who analyzes the media landscape, figures out, do we want this commercial by Law and Order, or do we want it by a touching Hallmark show, right? We might get different types of audiences with different things. Maybe we don't want a crime, a murder story, and those effects maybe to rub off on our advertising viewers. What channel do we want to put them on? Or geographically, where do we want the billboard? So that's a job. As well then, the creative team, and that's what we'll look at today with our analyzing the ad. The creative team is usually made up of a copywriter and a designer. So someone who focuses more on the text. How do I really specifically articulate our goals for marketing and advertising to the consumer? And then the designer, how do I now incorporate artistic elements into that? And then often, public relations is another role here. So ad agencies often have a public relations person on the team for specific campaigns. As well, companies typically do also have PR people for their company themselves, but for developing a campaign, there might be specific giveaways that they want to include, or different incentives that they want to offer, or the family days at the park or whatnot for a specific ad campaign. So it's good to have a PR person on the ad team. So let's look now more specifically at the creative team and some creative elements. So a great way to think about if an ad is effective is this acronym of ROI, relevance, originality, impact. So this kind of takes our demographics, geographics, psychographics, and puts it all here into, is this ad relevant to my audience? Is it original? So is it going to stand out from all the others, from all the other clutter? And of course, is it going to have an actual impact? Right? And the impact the way we want it to, right? Not an unethical or negative impact or make them or be off-brand. We want it to, right, really have the impact the way we want it to go. So a Z pattern is a classic magazine layout because in America and many Western societies, we read in a Z pattern. We go from left to right, and then we cut back over and read the next line, and then cut back over and read the next line. So it's the same pattern we can apply to a magazine layout or on television and advertisement. So often we catch the attention of the reader here, they follow across and then cut through the Z, often through an image in a classic ad, follow the, so they often text or a headline kind of appear to catch attention, follow down through a pictorial, and then maybe there's a logo here at the end to have a lasting impact, a lasting impression. This is kind of the classic Z pattern with a call to action at the end. There's David Ogilvy, who's the corporation who provided some of the analysis previously, laid out a 5-step process for really creating an advertisement. And I'll put these slides online so you don't have to write all this down. But kind of following this, and we'll see a lot of these elements in the next ads that we'll look at. You want a visual, you want a caption, so maybe like a quote or some sort of text to go deeper, to explain things, a headline to talk about kind of what's the overall message of this advertisement, copy to provide more in-depth information, and a signature. This might be a logo or some that kind of final lasting impression. So we definitely need these 5 elements in our ads. This might be a great way to analyze your ad for your paper, just using this process. So here's a classic advertisement for a Rolls-Royce. We see the pictorial, we see the testimonial here, the quote, lots of copy, informative information here, right? Cars are expensive. Often the higher the cost is for something, the more rational information will be included in the advertisement. People aren't going to make a huge purchase, perhaps just on a whim, unless you're in maybe the top 1%. And then you're buying maybe more for a status symbol. All right, so here's kind of a very classic advertisement. This was in 1959. All right, so kind of classic magazine advertising here. Now, let's look at some more contemporary examples. Here's one from the Boston Marathon. This is called a single visual layout. It's just, bam, here's an image, right? We're kind of shocked by it, or we're, wow, what's going on here, right? Maybe there's some cognitive dissonance, doesn't quite make sense. Yeah, Jill?
So would you say that Nike would, or like I feel so Nike would have most of the success with that because they've become such a dominant brand that all you have to do is, they don't even have to show their name, they just show that swoosh symbol.
Yeah.
And then you automatically know what it is.
Those mega brands, right? Often they might have specific campaigns for certain lines or things, but yeah, they want to stay in the public consciousness. They perhaps don't have as many obstacles to have to develop their brand or do as much intricate messaging, right? Yeah, because they're so well known already. So here we see a striking visual. If we're reading it, we're wondering, oh, why is this person, jogging off into space? We see the visual, there's the headline, and then here we see the logo, right, for the impact. Often in magazines, you'll see a logo in the bottom right hand, or in the corners, as people are flipping through the pages. Even if they don't stop on the page, they might get a flash of the logo. So one extra exposure. So that's an illustrated layout, all right? Let's look at a couple more. Here's some classic kind of perfume ads or advertisements that sell sex, right? We see a lot of these all the time, right? They're really, and this is selling one of those universal values, right? If we think of the hierarchy of needs, right? Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? This might be a basic need to be satisfied, right? So I would recommend these ads are a bit too simple to analyze for your paper, but important for these, there are still some elements here. We see some famous people, right? Is this Keira Knightley? Mm-hmm. And he's that fire superhero from Fantastic Four. Anyone know his name?
Oh, the Chris.
Yeah, oh, there you go, yep, Chris Evans. So often these more simplistic, maybe this might be like Nike to a certain degree. We don't need a ton of information, we need an icon, some information. Right? But these are, so that's maybe a single visual layout. Let me just wrap up a couple more here, guys. Hold on just 1 second. Here's what's called a top-heavy layout, where we have a visual, that tagline, still like the Ogilvy 5-step process, some more information, all right? And this is for Rolex, right? So this is a nice, healthy combination. We see some a .com over here to help connect some interactivity. And so this is where we're drawn in here with the big visual, then we're pulled in for more information because this is an expensive product, right? And then now today, one here is we're seeing things flipped upside down. Classic advertising, all the rules that have kind of been developed in the 20th century are being thrown out the window. Now we're seeing visuals on the bottom, text on the top. Right? This doesn't follow any sort of Z pattern at all, it's just there, it just hits you right in the middle. So that's kind of where we also are today. But again, maybe Nike or really well-known brands can do this. It's a lot harder for less-known brands to do this or to pull this off. And if you're going to go with a more unorthodox layout that grabs you with a visual or is kind of maybe disorienting, your product probably needs to match it, like iPhone being known for being very creative, kind of going outside of the bounds, outside of the box. So hopefully that gives you some tools for analyzing your ads for next Friday for your paper, all right? We touched on ethics a bit today. I'm sorry we didn't get to the group presentation, but we'll do that on Monday, all right, for sure. And I think that'll be a great way to cap off this unit, and we'll jump into PR, okay? All right, thanks you guys for hanging with me today, and we'll see you on Monday.
Well, I'll be back. I'm gonna go back.